Hey there, everyone, back with some Warner Brothers news, and this time it's about David Zaslav. So, David Zaslav, the moment he entered Warner Brothers, I became a fan. Those who know me knows that I'm a huge fan of David Zaslav and what he has been doing. What has been going on in DC is not his fault because he actually inherited those. By the time he took over Warner Brothers, those were already done. So he has nothing to do with that. What he has done after coming in for DC is that he has put on James Gunn and Peter Safran from DC Studios. And that's surprising to a lot of people that DC did not have its own studio. It didn't. David Zaslav came in and put on James Gunn and Peter Safran, and now from 2025 we will finally see what DC is going to be, the new DCU of James Gunn and Peter Safran. But recently, per the Wrap, David Zaslav has also commented on Warner Brothers' other franchises. He has, just trying to steady the ship of DC, but the other two big franchises are Harry Potter, of course, and Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, which took all the Oscars with three movies it put on, is still considered one of the best trilogies of all time with the original Star Wars trilogy and The Godfather. That's how big the Lord of the Rings trilogy was. And they haven't done anything with that. That's what David Zaslav was talking about, that they have not done anything since the Return of the King stuff. And some video games came out, but that's kind of it. Now, Tolkien's lore, the thing that J.R.R. Tolkien created through Lord of the Rings, it's huge. Yes, they did the Hobbit stuff also, but it was, although the box office was good for those, it was not as good as the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. And as we were saying, J.R.R. Tolkien made such a huge universe that you could really do a lot with it. Not what they're doing in Amazon with Rings of Power. That was a total, dare I say, shit show. Yes, it was. It just was not good. And I mean, I have read the Tolkien books, and I know the potential here. And David Zaslav, that's the reason I like David Zaslav. He knows that there is potential here, that you could do more and a lot more with the Lord of the Rings franchise. There are like thousands of years of backstories, like prequels from the times of Morgoth, and everything. Those are big stories as well. There are even stories after Lord of the Rings, stories of Sam, of Merry and Pippin, of, Aragorn. I mean, there are still stories to be told. There were stories to be like thousands of years of worth of stories that are back there to be told. Not like Rings of Power again. Not like that. Please, not like that. So yeah, there you go. He also talked about another big one, Harry Potter. And I used to be a big Potterhead. I used to like stand in line for the books and, read them in a day if possible. That's how big of a fan of Harry Potter I was. Then the movies started coming in one by one, and each of the movies were a hit. There were actually no bad Harry Potter movies. Sure, some of them stayed away from the book for adaptation issues, but still, they were very good movies. All of them. They all made good box office. I mean, just recently, before Barbie became the biggest box office for Warner Brothers, the best movie was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. That was the biggest box office for Warner Brothers. The Deathly Hallows Part 2. Barbie just broke it, but that was just last week. But for all these years, that was the biggest movie for Warner Brothers. That's how big the Harry Potter franchise is. I mean, I think the seven movies raked up, if I'm not wrong, 7 to 8 movies, I think it raked up like $4 billion or something. I might be wrong, but that was the box office. And you could do so much with this because a lot of stories was not told because movies have limited time and they can tell the whole story of a book in just a single movie. That's why Deathly Hallows was split in part one and part two. But they could do that for all the other movies if they wanted to. And as far as now we know, they just did the they just announced that they're, I think, doing a Harry Potter Wizarding World series, which will be more detailed within the book's stories. So yeah, there you go. And as David Zaslav says, there could be much more, because look, at the end of the day, the um, books ended where it ended. It was a good send off. It doesn't mean that you can, tell more stories. And as long as J.K. Rowling is in the, as an executive producer, she can like point the way to where like it can go, because it's all in her head. There are also a lot of prequel stuffs. Lots and lots of prequel stuff. Let's not forget, Harry Potter was in modern day. The history of Hogwarts and the Wizarding World, they are like from like long ago, hundreds, thousands of years ago. So yeah, there are how about a movie series of the heads of the houses finding out Hogwarts? That's a movie everyone would love to see. The problem is the gap has been too much. People are forgetting about the Harry Potter IP. And if you want to like revitalize it again, please do it. Because the Fantastic Beasts thing did not work, but that was more down to what Warner Brothers were doing with it. And that's that. And we won't go into all the Johnny Depp drama itself. But yeah, the Fantastic Beasts, the first few movies were good, and then it was, yeah. But again, they could really do something good now that David Zaslav has taken over. Just like DC Studios, he could be, this is Harry Potter Studios, the Wizarding World Studios, and then there is the Lord of the Rings Studios. You put Peter Jackson, like as the figurehead, the head of that those projects for the Warner Brothers one. You could put J.K. Rowling for and tag her up with another producer for the Harry Potter Wizarding World franchise. You got James Gunn, Peter Safran for DC, and you got all your big franchises as a single studio, a sub studio, and you're gold. And I think that's exactly what David Zaslav is going to do. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments. And please give a subscribe.